Good morning. The old man here. April 4th, 2025. I'd like to talk about silver today. Gold a little bit too, but mostly silver. Silver took a really big hit yesterday, a couple bucks per ounce, and mounted to about 6% decline in price, not value, but price. And overnight, in the Asian market, it took another, as of just a few minutes ago anyways, it took another 2% cut in price. And again, not value. To tell you the truth, when I first started stacking back in July 4th of 2023, if something like this would have happened shortly after, let's say even 6 months after I started stacking, I tell you, it would have made me super nervous. I'll tell you, whether I definitely would have questioned whether silver and gold was the right place to be. And I think that's the purpose of manipulating the markets the way they do. It's to shake out the weak hands. The one good thing about stacking silver physical and not the paper markets. Now, my stack did not change yesterday, one way, shape, or form. If it goes up $2 in a week, my stack is the same. If it goes down $2 in a day, or $2 now, $2.70 in the last 24 hours, my stack's still the same. It is wealth, and when you measure it in dollars, it is volatile. It will go up significantly in dollars, and it'll go down significantly in dollars. It'll make you feel rich one day and poor the next, and it'll make you question what you're doing, no doubt about it. But the more you understand that gold and silver is the truth, it's God's money, and that the dollar is nothing but a lie. That's can't hardly say it any better than that. It's manipulated by man, and the more time that goes by that the dollar is not backed by gold, the more manipulated it is. Everything the average person knows about the market is a lie. If you're watching digits on a screen, watching your stock market go up, it's a lie. What do you really own at the end of the day? Absolutely nothing. Nothing. At this moment, you can, or you have the opportunity to exchange all or part of that stock that you own for something real, gold and silver. If you have, let's say, money in the bank, whether that's 1,000, 2,000, 10,000, 100,000 in the bank, it's not real. It's debt. It's somebody else's debt. That's all it is. It's not real. Those digits on that screen can be taken away tomorrow. How does that look? You say, well, how can they take my money away from me tomorrow? Close the bank. Bank goes bankrupt. You don't have any clue what condition these banks are in. You don't know which straw is going to break the bank's back. Sooner or later, that's coming. As of right now, you have time. to get out of the digital system, the dollar system. I didn't mean to say digital system, the dollar system. I said it before, I'll say it again. I can't believe they're still taking dollars, the fake US dollar, and any fiat currency as far as that's concerned. Get on, Ruger. Any fake currency on trade for real money, and that's gold and silver. At the end of the day, somebody will say, I've seen so many talking heads talk about gold being the ultimate money, that it's more stable than silver. That could be true to some degree. Mostly right now, what's pushing the gold up, or at least got the ball rolling pretty hard, was central banks. And lately, I'd say from $2,000 to $3,000 an ounce, it's been institutional money coming into the market, family money, what some might call smart money. The retail investor is not paying attention at all. They don't care right now. They're still chasing high-end returns on their money, their fake fiat currency, hoping to get that in the stock market. And if you've been watching it all, not only did gold and silver take a dollar hit yesterday, a good percentage hit yesterday, especially silver, the stock market took a good hit yesterday. And unlike my stack that I've got in real gold and silver, not a paper contract, but real gold and silver, my stack didn't change yesterday. No matter what that dollar or what that stock market, paper market does, my stack doesn't change. The only time that would change is if I sold part of my stack, which I'm not going to do, or if I bought and added more to my stack, of which I will do no matter what. I look at this as a buying opportunity. All it really means is that they're taking fewer fake fiat currency to buy silver. Oh, shoot. I did the gold to silver ratio yesterday, and now, blessed, I kind of forget what it is. In fact, I should have done it this morning to see what it is. It's got to be up there pretty damn good after silver taking another pretty good hit, and actually gold going up a few dollars overnight. I want to say it went up $20 overnight, and silver lost 70 cents as far as paper is concerned. Lost 70% or 70 cents last night. And so that ought to have gotten the gold to silver ratio up to about 96. Some of the gold bugs out there that I listen to are predicting gold and silver ratio to go to 100 again, ish, somewhere in there. And by God, we're getting pretty close. That's awesome. That's a buying opportunity if there ever was one. Again, if I was a new stacker, man, would it be making me nervous right now. I'll tell you what, I don't think, 6 months into it, in other words, January, if this would have happened January of 24 or 6 months after I started stacking, man, I would have been questioning what I was doing. I understood to some degree that gold and silver is money and everything else is fake. I understood that to some degree, but not like I do today. The deeper I dive into this, the more I realize just how fake everything is. It's just been manipulated by governments. It's been manipulated by Wall Street, manipulated by central banks. And that's the whole idea behind central banks and the banking system as a whole. if they can get you into the dollar and keep you out of gold and silver, they can keep manipulating you. And as long as you've got your wealth in that system, they're giving you a haircut every day and you just don't even know it. Your digits on your screen might be going up. But if the value of your dollar is going down faster, and in most cases that is true right now, the dollar is going down faster than than the digits on your screen are going up. So you're getting a haircut every day. Where if you're stacking gold and silver and your stack, no matter what happens on the markets, your stack is the same every day, unless you sell or if you buy, then you've changed your stack. Nobody else has the opportunity to steal and take away from you. That is the thing. They can manipulate the markets all they want, but you have taken your wealth that you've earned and made it something solid by having it in your possession and not letting the banks manipulate it. The banks and governments. I'm not sure if it's the dog wagging the tail or the tail wagging the dog. It's really hard to say whether, it's kind of like the chicken or the egg, what come first. Same thing with the money. Is it the gun, or is it the banks running the government, or is it the government running the banks? Kind of hard to say. Most will say it's the banks running the government, and there's a lot of truth in that. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. One or the other is fleecing you. Maybe both, and probably both, have been fleecing you for years. And I think for most people that's hard to see. But if you think about it this way, back in the 60s, a man working 40 hours a week made a decent living. His wife didn't have to go to work. She could stay home, take care of the house, take care of the kids, take care of her husband, run errands and whatever else, which actually is a much better job, if you will, or a career path, if you ask me, is a much better career path than the wife having to go out and earn a living also. And so today we've got most families have two people working 80 hours a week, at least 80 hours a week, and they have less today than a family of, let's say, four or five would have had back in the 60s working a 40-hour week. And you might say, well, we got $90,000 vehicles now, and that we're trying to pay for, $60,000 vehicles we're trying to pay for. We got $300,000 houses that we're trying to pay for. Yeah, that's all because of the manipulated dollar. But you got to remember too, not only could he make a decent living back in the 60s on 40 hours a week, he didn't have much debt. He might have had a house payment, but a lot of people in the 60s could have bought a car cash. They saved up for it. Let's say they could run their vehicle for 10 years, and by the time that vehicle, was trash in 10 years and he needed to upgrade it, he saved enough money on that 40-hour a week paycheck to buy a new car cash or a good used car cash. Maybe he bought a 2-year-old car, saved a fair amount of money on the 2-year-old car and drove it, another 8 years. He could do that on a 40-hour week. Now, you got an 80-hour week, $300,000 house that you owe a big note on. You got 2 vehicles because the husband and wife both have to work now. And you got 2, let's say, $60,000 vehicles that you got a note on, or you're making payments, in other words. So you got a lot more debt. So, and there's no way in hell you can save anything to be able to buy the next car cash. you're so far in debt. I heard a stat the other day that the average person making a house or making a car payment is the average is 10,000 upside down on that vehicle. In other words, they owe $10,000 more than the vehicle's worth. Wow. And there's some that's a lot more than that because they traded in their vehicle. They took a hit, the vehicle is worth less than, let's say, $5,000 worth than than they owed on it, and the bank actually financed that $5,000 on top of the new vehicle. So if the new vehicle was $60,000, they financed it for $65,000 to roll over that debt. You want to talk about a trap that you're never going to get out of. Never. And that's where I say the dollar is fake. It's debt. And you'll never get out of that trap unless you live way under your means. It's the only way out. And gold and silver, if you're stacking gold and silver, you're on your way. You're on your way of getting out of debt. Obviously, if you have a lot of debt, it's hard to stack gold and silver, but you got to have something. You got to have something outside the system. You got to start somewhere. I look at it this way. Gold's already went up 16% this year. If you got debt that is less than 16%, like your house payment, let that debt roll. Just pay your minimum payments. That's fine. Same thing with the car. If you're paying 7, 8, 9% on your car, fine. Make the minimum payments and start building wealth with gold and silver. Because at the end of the day, where we're getting back to, it's coming faster and faster now. You can see it. Past presidents wouldn't have never spoken of gold at all. They wouldn't have made it clear to me anyways, because I'm listening. I want to know what he's saying. I want to know what people around Trump are saying. And they're talking about a golden age. What the hell does that mean? To me, that's pretty obvious. They're also talking about a sovereign wealth fund. Also pretty obvious. Okay, in the past, the bond market was the market of all markets, the U.S. bond market. It's coming to an end. It's coming to an end. Most of the talking heads on YouTube and elsewhere talking about gold and silver, talking about they'll inflate the currency rather than defaulting on the loans or defaulting on the currency. I don't think that's true this time. I really don't think it is. Trump is positioning us by getting the gold back here, using the tariffs partially as an excuse to get the gold back here, get gold and silver back here, and it's been coming back in record numbers. It's been coming back, and I think what you're going to see is Trump putting any kind of a stop of it going anywhere else. And at the end of the day, we might have gotten that gold back here, and it may have been on loan from somebody else. They loaned it out. Well, that's their bad. They shouldn't have loaned it out, because at the end of the day, possession is 9/10 of the law. And that's the thing. As long as it's here in the country, no matter who it belonged to, if it's been leased out or otherwise, it belongs to the United States. You want to come fight for it? Fine. Go ahead. But we're going to need that gold and silver as collateral when the dollar collapses, and that's coming. Like I said, no president would mention gold. No president would mention a sovereign wealth fund. They're telling you something. The end of the dollar is coming. Now, did Trump plan the end of the dollar? No. It was the cards that he was dealt. The globalists planned the end of the dollar, and Trump stepping in just messed up their plans like you wouldn't believe. He has really screwed the left over. And when I say the left, I don't mean Democrats, I mean globalists. Yeah, the globalists took over the Democratic Party, but at the end of the day, Democrats, the old school Democrats are basically the Labor Party. You know, if you go back far enough, it wasn't a good party then either. But at any rate, you know, if you look at it right now, you got Trump, former Democrat. You got Tulsi Gabbard, former Democrat. You got RFK, still a Democrat. All working on Trump's cabinet. So I'm not picking on Democrats. Democrats, the old school Democrat, before the party had been corrupted by the globalists, good people. We need balance between the Democrats and the Republicans. In the past, both parties have screwed us over, and honestly, at the end of the day, that's also coming to an end. So we'll see how that works out. But I think my point of this is, if you've been stacking, don't worry about, or don't concern yourself with how much your stack is worth in dollars, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. This is a opportunity. With silver at least being down 8% today, 8% from 24 hours ago, or thereabouts, maybe 36 hours, whatever. But it's gone down 8%. Let's say 36 hours. It's gone down 8%. This is a buying opportunity of a lifetime. It may still go down some more, but if you got some extra cash, it wouldn't be a bad idea to buy some gold or silver today. Most of the talking heads out there are saying that, you know, silver is awful speculative, but at the end of the day, and that is true to some degree, but at the end of the day, obviously, gold to silver ratio it's got to be, I wish I would have done the math ahead of time, but it's got to be around 96 to 1 right, 96 to 1 right now. And to me, that means that silver's on sale. It's really on sale. And I think more people can afford silver right now than they can afford gold. So either way, gold or silver, whatever you can do. I would add a little to the stack, at least during this period where silver especially is on sale. Gold's a little bit on sale, not too much, but it didn't drop that much percentage-wise, and it is on the rise already this morning, or overnight markets, it's on the rise. So that'll recoup pretty quick. Silver might take a little longer, but at any rate, add to your stack if you can. Trust, you know, if you're a stacker, trust in the fact that you're doing the right thing. Let me say that. I've dived into this deep. In fact, looking at my analytics on YouTube, it'll tell me how many hours a day average I spend on YouTube, and I'll tell you, my time on YouTube is all gold, silver, finances, geopolitical, trying to figure out what's going on, trying to stay abreast of what's going on. And I spend 6 hours on day average. It's about 3 in the morning and 3 at night, researching how to keep my wealth. And obviously, I've come to the conclusion the only wealth there is gold and silver. And I do realize silver is more speculative, but at the end of the day, when the dollar crashes, the only thing that is wealth, bar none, is gold and silver. What dollar figure that has on it, doesn't matter. Dollar's going to be toast. So it doesn't matter. The thing is when most people are running on 100% debt, when the dollar goes, what do they have? Nothing. When the dollar goes and you're still in the stock market, what do you have? Nothing. And it's simple. If you got a $60,000 vehicle, even if it's paid for, when the dollar goes, what do you have? You have a vehicle. That's it. Nobody will be able to borrow money to buy that vehicle from you if you want to sell it. Okay? And if you owe money on it and you're $10,000 upside down on that vehicle, like most people are, okay, when the dollar's toast, what do? You give them the fucking keys. That's all you can do. You can't, if you've got, when the dollar's toast and you don't have a job, or you don't have a very good paying job anymore, you had to take something else just to put food on the table, that vehicle's going back to the bank. There's going to be a lot of vehicles going back to the bank. There's going to be a lot of houses going back to the bank. One last thing, and I've mentioned this before, but I'll mention it again. Must have been talking about it in school, and therefore I asked my grandfather what the Depression was like. And he come up through the Depression, and he said, no. He said, well, no different. He said, we were just poor farmers. We didn't have nothing. He said, he said that Depression was mostly about stocks and credit. He said, we didn't have credit. We didn't have stocks. He says, we're just poor farmers. We made a living. That's all we did. He says, so it really didn't affect us much. He says, however, our neighbors that had taken out loans against their property to buy tractors and whatever else, those loans put them into bankruptcy, and actually they lost their property at the end of the day. A lot of neighbors did. A lot of neighbors lost their property because of their loans. He said, we didn't have a loan. Our property was paid for. We bought a tractor that was used, and we bought it cash. Therefore, we didn't owe the bank anything. Stop it, Ruger. We didn't owe the bank anything, so we didn't lose anything. We were able to keep our farm where a lot of farmers lost their farm. Even these small farmers lost their farm to the bank. And that's why my grandfather didn't believe in banks. It took him many, 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 many years to even put money in the bank enough to pay his bills. He wanted to pay all of his bills cash. But it got to the point, even back in the 80s, for my mom was actually taking care of his accounts. It got to the point where it was such a pain in the butt. Groger. It was such a pain in the butt for her to pay bills cash that she finally convinced him to put some money into the bank just to pay their bills. But anything extra he had never went into the bank. He kept it. I don't know. He must have kept a lot of cash around that I wasn't aware of. But I know he wasn't a gold and silver stacker. Man, I wish he would have been, because I would have started it out a hell of a lot earlier in my life. I'll tell you that. But at any rate, that's my thoughts on gold and silver for today. I'm looking at putting more into my stack. We'll see how that works out. Tomorrow, or maybe even this evening, some have been talking about gold confiscation, or the possibility of gold confiscation. And I want to bring that up and talk about that some tomorrow, or tonight, maybe tonight. But have a great night. Thank you for listening today. Like and subscribe, and leave me a comment. Man, have some really good comments lately. It helps me come up with more content, and actually also helps me, even do some more research. Something that I may have researched in the past, and go back and do it again. So thank you. Appreciate it. Have a great day. Bye.